Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining into this session. My name is Farhat Khan, and I will take you through this session on 20 minutes with a Q&A of 5 minutes by the end of it, so 25 minutes total. Today's topic of today's session is about why does digitalization require executive leadership toolkit involving EA models in order to enable the strategic roadmaps to succeed. So it's quite a vast topic, and I'll try to narrow it down through a few models I have. Just a few words about me before I have a deep dive into today's topic. I have 17 years of experience from large international corporations, mainly from leading roles, where I have been working with enterprise architecture, business development, and digital transformation among a few initiatives. So I have a very vast experience within this field, and what I have found interesting is the potential that lies within enterprise architecture, especially the models and the documentations being developed by enterprise architects. So let's just jump into today's topic, and just one comment before I do that. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in. However, I will take them collectively by the end of this session. So feel free to write, and I'll do my best to answer when I'm done. So, digital transformation. What is it? It's quite a hype these days that everybody is talking about digital transformation. We need to jump onto this transformation journey. But what is it about? Is it enough to just develop a new sales tool or a new app towards customers or internally in the organization, or just change a few processes and mention that now we have automated this process area, we are on a digital transformation journey? I think it's important that we keep in mind at least these 5 areas digital transformation will always touch upon, and it needs to be encompassed into that total holistic perspective. One is the customer experience, that you need to look into who is your customer and what kind of seamless experience can be designed toward the customer. It could be an internal customer as well, the users of your digital solutions, for example, but it's also your external customers. And most of all, what I find interesting is the operational model, that you digitalize your processes, you establish process management, and you have operational transparency, and you establish the governance around it. But also building on top of it, you also have the business model where you have the value configuration, you reshape the organization, you integrate your strategies. So you don't have one business strategy, one IT strategy, one digital strategy, but you actually have one strategy which has been integrated through different perspectives. And then you have the leadership and capability where you define skills and training needs, because most probably and most definitely you will need a change in how the leadership will be developed. And the new strategy and visions and goals also needs to be shared. So that also is one part of the digital transformation, that you're bringing along the new message in this journey. And of course, it's part of this digital transformation that you have the technology along, you have the business and IT integration, and you're aiming to achieve unified data and processes. So when you're looking into this, it's pretty clear that digital transformation is very, very complex. It's touching upon both internal and external perspectives, both top management and the lower levels in the organization. So every part of the organization is being impacted. All aspects around business development and how you are developing your client relationships will be impacted. So it's not just about using a technology in some kind of silo and develop further from there. So what makes me wonder about this is the executive agenda, the perspectives of executives in digital transformation. Often you hear about the digital innovation, which would be the technology and the customer experience linked to each other, that we develop some kind of app, some kind of solution, or the organization and business development part. But still, um, uh, we are experiencing a paradigm shift, but it's still somewhat silo perspectives that are leading the transformation of companies and of businesses. And on top of that, what I find very interesting is the post-pandemic situation. We have in the past year witnessed a very, very unique and very special situation where business continuity has been crucial for companies to survive and to maneuver, navigate through the whole pandemic situation. And in a latest survey by IBM, we see that there are top three key priorities for CEOs. It is 3,000 CEOs who responded to this survey, and the three key priorities that are mentioned are agility, technology, and regulation. So on top of all these aspects of digital transformation, from the customer journey, customer experience, technology, the operational model, business model, and so on, you also need to become more agile, use the technology right at the right time, in the right place, and you need to be flexible enough to adapt the new regulations coming in and being changed all the time, as we have seen through this COVID-19 pandemic situation. So what I find interesting in all this is to look into the core elements and have a breakdown of that, because we have business processes and business capabilities, we have information structures, and that you can say could be linked to the organization and business development part. But then you also have the data models and technology landscape, which could be linked to the digital innovation. And my call, I feel, is the enterprise-wide assessment, the breaking of silos, which I feel and I think is important to look into an enterprise assessment roadmap. For any company, working with this roadmap would be different according to where you are in your journey and what you need to focus on, what you need to improve. So this is not a chronological roadmap as such. This is an overview of all the elements in an organization that are needed to be worked on in order to have a digital transformation journey which encompasses the whole perspective holistically and not just silos. Which I find is interesting because Gartner defines enterprise architecture as the discipline for proactively and holistically leading enterprise responses to disruptive forces by identifying and analyzing the execution of change towards desired business vision and outcomes, which is a very encompassing definition. And it says a lot about enterprise architecture, because enterprise architecture is a lot. And my take on EA is actually this model here I find very informative, because it shows the linkages between the different layers in enterprise architecture, where the top part of it is business architecture. You have the application architecture, the data architecture, and the technology architecture. And it is the interconnections and the use of the information from those interconnections that that create the value in the company. So going from here, what I find interesting is the insight that enterprise architecture is delivering to organizations. So if enterprise architects are working in silos, what value or what potentially can they deliver of more value to the company, and especially to the C-level executives, is what I find is important is through the different deliverables. It of course all depends on where you put an enterprise architect in the organization and how that insight then is used. But the basis for the deliverables will always be at a minimum the same. An EA delivers the governance model. There is lots of documentation which shows a holistic overview of the processes, the data, and the application. Then you have the basis for being enabled to analyze across those processes and data and applications, and be able to reduce the risks, to improve speed of innovations, and so on. And it actually gives you a great fundament to design the future state based on the consolidated assessment of capabilities, processes, data, and technologies and applications. And then you can plan the next steps of implementing and deploying the new design and the new solutions and the changes within the organization and towards the clients, and in that ecosystem towards your business partners. So all this insight and data and information which is being produced by enterprise architects could either just be produced and applied in a silo in different projects, even in silos, or it could be a more wider use, which I find is quite interesting, looking into the especially looking into the into 2020, how companies in a very fast pace of time, in a very short notice, had to completely refocus, but still deliver on their business goals and achieve the financial results and continue developing the business. And I believe that for any company who have the consolidated enterprise analysis and insight, and if they have the transparency and interconnected resources, they have a great fundament to align their enterprise design, their business development, and technology management, which to me is the core of digital transformation for any company, and especially for larger companies. It's all about utilizing your resources, even for small companies. I believe so. But this transparency in interconnected resources is what enterprise architecture is delivering, and it's delivering the consolidated enterprise analysis and insight as well. So the key question to executives that I believe enterprise architects should be and could be challenging the status quo is asking these key questions with your enterprise architecture insight as your fundament. First of all, benefits. Are we achieving the right benefits in this company? And how do we utilize benefits from any non-compliant solutions? And are we building resilience in this organization by adapting to the information that is being gathered? Or are we working in silos in very ad hoc manner? Or are we being very planned, proactive, and holistic? And are we creating a transparent insight of the ecosystem, or are we still developing documentation in different hubs without the interconnections and the transparency, which will give us the competitive edge in the ecosystem that we are working in? And also, when setting targets, are we making any feasibility assurance? Are we analyzing if these targets could be realistically accomplished, or do we have any lack of our overview of the resources that we are planning towards? And last but not least, also challenging the status quo by asking about compliance. Are we really moving towards our approved targets? Or are we just driving in different directions as depicted on this picture? Or are we trying to drive in one main direction? So I believe by asking these key questions to executives based on the insight that enterprise architects are delivering and creating, this could enable and this could even contribute to this paradigm shift of digital transformation that we are witnessing. So I believe that for any company that would like to succeed with their digital transformation journey, where they are working holistically and proactively with this, they need to explore and act on the EA insight that is coming in. It's only through insight that you gain the wisdom to plan better and make an impact within your organization and externally towards your business partners in your business ecosystem. So one key message, I believe, is that we need to utilize all known resources and opportunities proactively and holistically in your ecosystem to gain competitive advantage in your industry through a consolidated business and technology alignment.